I had a dream. Had to be this morning sometime. And in the dream, I was in a club. And I was in the club. I was observing a lot of things in there. And something I realized, the club was kind of dark, just like your typical club. Except the lighting was like, it seemed like the lighting was, in addition to being dark, there was like this red type of lighting. And everyone is dancing, but what I realized with the music and what I can feel was that the music had control of the individuals in the club. So it was like the sensation and whatever was it, some sort of power was in the music that made you move, made you dance, it made you feel. But I mean, the people obviously was enjoying themselves and feeling good. And so this was going on, all this dancing and whatever, and but the music had control of the people. And then it was like all of a sudden chaos was happening. It was like people were running from the back, like something had happened and running to the front. But at the same time, I saw some people that were like, there were some individuals that were like to one side. How do I explain this? So the music is going, everyone is dancing under full control of the music, and then all of a sudden there was chaos. I see people running from the very back of this club, running outside to go to the front, and it was like suddenly I was back at the front of the club, and I'm seeing like at the entrance. So on one side you saw people that were coming in a straight line. They had these lights. I don't know, it looked like cigars were in their hands or something, but uniformly they had like cigars that were lit on the end, because the very end of the cigars had, you could see it was lit. And they were just walking calmly in to one side, and then on the other side, these people are running outside. And as they were running out to escape or to get out, as I went further, it was like I got out and I was in like a parking lot, but everything is still dark. And I see like, it looked like it was a young man. He was being held by a group of people. I couldn't see them. I couldn't identify them. As a matter of fact, it just looked, everything was so dark. I could see that young person clearly, like each person was holding each of his arms. So one person on one side holding one arm, then the other, then one leg. But altogether they were like 6 people, right? And they were like, I won't say shadows, but I can see them. I just saw it looked dark. It really looked like some shadows were just carrying him. He was screaming. The way he was screaming was like straight, sheer terror and horror. And what was being said was that he owed something. It was like he was enjoying himself, and I don't know what happened, but he owed something and he didn't pay. So now they're taking him to they're taking him away because he owes now. Okay, we gave you something, you didn't pay us, now we're taking you and you're going to pay the ultimate price. And everything in me, how I was feeling, made me know that whatever they were going to do to him was going to be horrible, because the way he was screaming, it was just obvious. And even as I'm sitting here now, I know the revelation for this dream is coming to me. 2 things. The first thing that is coming to me as I'm speaking was the music industry. Music industry. There is power in music. And whether that comes from God to bring healing, restoration, and just bring people out of bondage, or it could be another kind of music that comes from the devil. It comes from Satan. And that music is sent to control the mind and to control the heart and to bring people into captivity through lyrics and through the music. The music and the way it was, it just felt so like it was feeling so good, really. And you just move into it. You can't help it but to move. That's how it felt. You had no control though. And so there were just people in this dark space that's having a good time and not realizing that it's like a trap. And so in the music industry, people, it doesn't matter what people think and what they meant to do. Because there's a lot of people, they're not thinking, oh, I'm doing this for the devil, I'm doing this for Satan, or, and then there's some who have sold their soul to the devil. And so what's coming to my heart as I'm speaking to you guys about this dream, because I only intended to share the dream, but the revelation is the music industry and people that's in it. Because they think a lot of times they're the talent and they're the gifts. But what it is, yes, you have talents, but it's being used for the power of darkness to influence people. And the devil will give these individuals, Satan is going to give the kingdoms and the glories of this world that Matthew chapter 4 talks about. And so they'll get accolades and they'll get money and they're getting the houses and they're getting the notoriety and they're getting the fame and they're getting the houses and they're in these circles. And some people that sold their soul to the devil's like, okay, I'm going to give you what you asked for. But there's a price. And what's coming in my heart is like there's a lot of people that they think that they can just come in, go in and get what they want to get from the devil, or ignore the word devil altogether and do what they want to do and live life how they want to live it, and not realizing you're going to pay that price. Because that's what happened. He owed a debt and he was going to pay it that day, and he was going to pay it with his life. Because everything in his screams and in his terror let me know that they were going to kill him. It's like he knew that. And it was a young boy. It was a young gentleman. I could see him. I could kind of see his clothes. He had on like, the skinny jeans. He had on, I can't remember the top he had on. But I remember he was slim, had like the jeans on with like a t-shirt that, it wasn't tucked in, and they were carrying him. These dark shadows was carrying him, and he was screaming. And it was just known. It was like I can hear them talking. He owes us. He didn't pay his debt. And he was being taken into this place that people were running out of. And in the meantime, on the other side, people are going in. And the people that's going in, as I told you, it was a uniformity. They went in perfectly in a line, while others are running out, trying to get out of whatever's going on in the back. And these people, they had like cigars. It looked like cigars in their hand. I hope that's what I saw. And there was a little light at the very end of the cigar, like it was lit. And they were just walking in, holding it in their hand. They weren't smoking it, but they were holding it in like between their fingers, like you would if you're about to smoke. And they were going in like, perfect order in a line. And that shows me the new artist. It's the fresh meat, if you want to call it that. Just going in to this place that's dark and inviting. The music had so much power. It was like I can feel the power in the music. You listen to music, but it was like I can feel in my, like even in my stomach, in all of me, like the music had this power to make you just move and just you want to just boom, just dance, and you dancing real slow. I wasn't dancing, but I could feel the music and I could see the power that it had on the people. And they didn't realize, it was like they enjoyed it, but they didn't realize that the music had them sort of like, like a puppeteer. Like the music had them under control. And what's happening, some music today, it controls a mind. It goes into the very inward being of you. And it leaves a message. I think of the music over the years that I listened to. And I think of all the messages that were being downloaded into me, even before I even knew. The music, the song Secret Lovers, the song I Can't Live Without You, I Can't Breathe Without You, I Can't Sleep Without You. I had no idea what those things were. Shower Me With Your Love, all these different things. I can't, you got me losing my mind, all these different things. And then you have other lyrics from other songs that's talking about drugs and alcohol and killing and hustling and all these different things. And then you have others that's talking about murder and killing and the devil. And people think, oh, this is just music, but it has power and it has influence. And there are artists and people that are being used by the power of darkness. They are selling themselves out and they're getting rewards right now because of what they're doing. They're using these individuals, the faces that you may trust and know. They use these individuals to influence you through singing, but the power and what's happening is coming from another force that has nothing to do with their talent at all. And when it's all said and done, when it's time to pay, these individuals are going to run. They're going to think that they can get away. They will have had the opportunity to turn to God, to turn away, to stop doing what they're doing. They think they're going to be able to run, but they're going to get pulled right back in. Another thing that's coming to me as I speak about this is many people who say that they're Christian songwriters and artists, but they've actually sold their soul. They've actually compromised. They are going to get a even greater judgment than those who didn't really know God. But these individuals that know that say that they're Christians, they're going to church and they're entertaining in the house of God while being used by Satan, they're going to get the worst payout. The sufferings for them will be worse if they don't stop and turn away while they have time. A lot of times what happens is people they will ignore the warnings of God until they reach this place where now they want to escape. And there's coming a time that there's going to be no escape. God will be speaking to the hearts of people all along the way, telling them stop. But they're going to reach this point when they actually see who they're serving. Their eyes are going to be opened up to the truth. When Satan reveals himself with the powers of darkness and the gates of hell opens up on them, and they're going to want to run and they're going to want to seek God, but it's going to be too late. And so there are many songwriters that say that they are writing Christian music and they're of God, but they have tainted it. According to Ecclesiastes about that dead fly in the ointment, it's in there. They're talking about God, they're saying God, but the powers that is propelling them is not of God. And there's a payout that's coming. And truly, what I was experiencing and looking at and showing, there's so many things to this. Not only the power of music, but also the darkness of what hell is like. People will be trying to run out, but there will be no escape. While people are there's going to be a steady traffic of people entering in. And so people are getting their warnings. There's people who enter into the music industry and they say, oh, I want to do Christian music. But then as they get in, their music, their lyrics are tweaked. And they will say, okay, I know you're saying about God, but instead of putting Jesus, put something else here. They're teaching them and showing them how to change the lyrics that God has given to them and put something else, because everything has to be a gray area. You have to make your music in a way that anybody will enjoy it without offense. And so a lot of people have done that. A lot of song artists have done that. A lot of music artists have done that. A lot of musicians play under the influence of darkness. And people think that the Spirit of the Lord is moving just because they feel something. But you have to understand the fallen angels, the angels that once were in the presence of God, they can make you feel a certain way because they're angels. They have the ability to cause you to feel and to even smell things that smells. Oh, you think it's the presence of God. Remember that John fell down before an angel to worship that angel based on just how that angel looked alone. And the angel had the power to pick him up off his feet and set him on his feet and put life in him again so he can continue speaking to him and told him, don't worship me. So if that angel was able to do that, understand that angels of God who was originally in there, Satan, the devil, have these abilities to cause you to fall out, to pick you up, to make you feel a certain way. But they're not, it's not God. It's not the Spirit of God. And so when these musicians are playing under the influence of darkness because of what's inside of them, they bring that out in their music in the churches. And people are falling out. It's not always the Holy Spirit. I just saw a ad right here on YouTube, and it was showing a man. He is just the spiritual things, and he's healing people. He's doing these quote unquote healings, and the people are falling out just like you see in those deliverance churches. The people are shaking on the floor, they're rolling, they're crying. He's praying, he's doing something, touching them, and they're falling right out. But it's not a Christian thing. He's just talking about healing. That's what the ad shows. I don't know if it's popped up on your feed yet. But there is a great deception that's out there. There's a sound that's in the church that's not of God. There's a sound that's in the music that does not come from God. The lyrics have been tainted. There is a dead fly in the ointment. And there are many who are selling their souls for money, for fame. Not only those song artists, and if you look, a lot of these writers and celebrities, if you look and you really look at their music, you see that it's getting darker. If you look like music from back in the 80s and the 70s, I'm not saying that it wasn't less ungodly, but what I'm saying, if you look at the music from back in the days, they had bright colors on, they were singing and dancing, the lyrics were playful, they were making sure they weren't saying things to offend families. It was different. Even the way they look brighter, prettier. Now they're darker. Everything is dark. A dark room, molten lava in the background. They're naked. They're doing weird things. They're kissing donkeys. They're just doing all this stuff that's really odd. They're naked on the cover. They have horns. They're dark. They have mascara. Their lips are black. Now the only difference that will be is like back in the days when they had heavy metal, they were always like lipstick and nail polish. But I'm saying we have it where it's the standard. It's a standard in music. It's a standard in TV shows. If you really look at cartoons these days, it's about spells and all these things that move from fairy dust and Disney to now it's dark, right? And it's just the everything's getting darker. Even in movies, okay? I saw Wreck-It Ralph, and then they came out with Wreck-It Ralph 2, and then Wreck-It Ralph 2 just went in a whole different way. Like you see some shows that the first one was okay, but then it just gets crazy. So darkness is leaking in everything. Am I saying that we're supposed to live a paranoid life? No, I'm not telling you that. You can't help but be where you are. You're in this world. Sometimes you're just going to be around people who's going to be listening to that. But you need to be awake. That's what I'm saying. The Bible says, awake, O sleeper, and rise from the dead, and God will give you life. So you can see. Because there's a lot of people that's sleeping in the churches, that's sitting under this music, that's going into these dark churches. I say stop going into dark churches. They need to turn on the lights. Stop going into these dark places. I will pin a video, I'm going to put a video in the comment below about this darkness that's in the church. It is ungodly. I don't care who it is. I don't care who they are. Because one of the reasons why you can get deceived easily is because you're following people that you've always known and not knowing, listen, this person had a church with lights on, and now the church is dark. There's all this darkness and all this stuff going on. They have these big screens in the background with all these little things going on, and the music's playing. Don't you know that they use music? That's why you hear music when you're shopping. It influences you. But let me go back. It's time to wake up, guys. And pay attention. Guard your ears, guard your heart, guard your eyes. Be deliberate. I'm not saying to live under a rock. If you go into the store and they're playing some music that's not of God, you don't run out the store like, oh my gosh. You don't have to do that, okay? I mean, let's be honest. This world, do a little science here. Our planet has so many different layers that protects it from the outer elements. Believe me, if he's doing that with the planet, he's doing that for us as well. Those who are following him. You're not going to just, something's not going to happen because you heard a song that's not of God. Don't live that way, because then you're just going to be living cray-cray and being weird. But what I'm telling you is that God will open up your eyes to what's around you. And sometimes that ought to be your prayer. Lord, whatever I'm not seeing, open up my eyes, reveal anything that's I'm not aware of. You know what I mean? Or set me free from those things that I am still bound to. But what was in my heart, this dream that I had was showing the power of music. It's showing what it's doing. It's showing the artists, those who are right now upfront personal, you reading about them and they're doing this, they are being used by the power of darkness to influence the masses, and then they're getting paid for that through riches and all these things. But there's a price that they're going to pay at the end for it. And that young man that was running out, that boy looked so young. He looked like he couldn't been anymore. He had to be like in his early 20s, getting carried off. But he was running because he owed a debt. And no one gets away with anything. There are things that God will warn people about. And he will warn you and give you every opportunity. But there are people, you reach this place, you hit the very end of the road, and now you come face to face with a thing that appeared to be so nice, but it's come to take your soul. And these individuals are going to be running for dear life, but it'll be too late. Because you made the choice to stay. You made the choice to sell out your soul. You made the choice. These individuals would have made the choice to deny God, to ignore God, to curse out people who tried to warn them, to ignore the warnings, to ignore the near misses, because they wanted what they wanted. And now they're going to pay with their souls. The biggest thing that the enemy makes you feel is that you are in control. And he has massive supply of people that's just going to coming in. Just they are drawn to the darkness. They're drawn to the power, and they're drawn to the accolades, and they want that. And people that's going into this dark place are not just sinners, but people who say that they're Christian songwriters, Christian musicians, Christian artists that's singing. They're going into this place and their heart is unchanged. So guys, this is where I'm at. I'm going to leave it there. I pray that there'll be changes. I pray that those of you who this may be for, that it will reach your heart and you will obey before it's too late. Don't allow yourself to get carried away, because by then, no matter how much you scream, no matter how much you cry out to God, you will no longer be heard. All right.